Is Naoya Inoue the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in boxing? With names like Bud Crawford, Devin Haney, and of course Oleksandr Usyk floating around, that's the big question today, especially with Inoue's win over Marlon Tapales this morning in Japan. Inoue dominated Tapales and defeated him with a 10th round knockout in a very close fight, unlike any of his other fights. Today we will be discussing that win Naoya Inoue notched over Marlon Tapales and be talking about his status as the pound-for-pound king. Is he or is he not? That remains to be seen. So let's go ahead and dive in. So a couple preliminary things before we get into the fight itself. Inoue came in 25-0. Marlon Tapales came in 37-3. Inoue is the orthodox fighter. Tapales is the southpaw fighter. That has something to do with this fight because of the type of matchup that we're looking at here. So we start off, and oh yeah, one more thing. Let's see, I need to read all of these alphabet soups because the WBA, WBC, WBO, and IBF super bantamweight titles were on the line. So yeah, this fight here was great. Tapales came out as a southpaw, and Inoue started off normal, using the double jab to make sure that he could find his range. And early on, he did find his range, but what really gave Inoue trouble early, now this wasn't the whole fight, this was just the beginning of the fight, but what really gave him trouble early was the southpaw stance and how Tapales would use it. So normally, you're looking for the outside foot advantage. And that means when you're in an orthodox and southpaw matchup where you're a mirrored stance, where the toes are together, you want your foot on the outside. But in the sport of boxing, not every rule is law. Instead, it's just a suggestion. And it is a suggestion here. So, the best example of this, and that has something to do with this fight, is Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao loved to fight with his foot on the inside instead of the outside. Inoue wanted the outside foot advantage at first here and learned that, hey, I'm not going to be able to do just this. So, Manny Pacquiao likes to fight on the inside. Guess where Marlon Tapales is from? The Philippines. Guess who's their favorite fighter and basketball player and politician ever? Manny Pacquiao. So, the inside foot advantage is one of those things that makes a lot of sense for Tapales to use. The exposure to it is there. The incentive to use it is there because Inoue likes to work on the outside foot so much. So early on, we could see where Tapales would step to the inside and give Inoue this real deep step on the outside. And it wouldn't matter. He would come in and start banging it out. And he was really good when he got inside the pocket. This had Inoue tripping up. He one moment in the fight, it was against the fence, and Tapales stepped real deep between the legs of Inoue, and Inoue kind of he didn't know what to do. He got kind of caught off guard. I won't say he knew what to do. He just got caught off guard with it when Tapales stepped that far, and he kind of stumbled backwards a little bit, and I was like, oh, that is something to watch here. And it surely was, because Tapales did it all night. And once Inoue kind of sussed out what he was supposed to do, Naoya Inoue decided, hey, I'm going to step out on the outside. And if you want to get on the inside, great. You're going to have to deal with my left hook there, and you're also going to have to deal with my right. That kind of started to give Marlon Tapales trouble here. So what did he decide to do? Oh, wow. Great adjustment by Tapales here. And after this fight, I had a lot to say about Tapales because I wasn't as familiar with his game. Like the old Shaqman, I'm sorry, I wasn't familiar with your game. So what happened after that, he was just very, how do I explain this? He was smart, and he knew how to mix things up. And that was a big deal to kind of get him deeper into this fight. So in a way, he decided, okay, I'm fine with you getting the inside foot advantage. And he was. He started to land well and started to, really get really deep. He double stepped on to the outside, especially in like round 4. He stepped and then he stepped out again. So you got your foot and your foot. Inoue steps to the outside, then he steps to the outside again. So a lot deeper of penetration there, as sus as that sounds. He started to find the right hand to the body, and Tapales, that's where he decided, okay, we're going to go ahead and mix things up. So what does he do? He starts stepping to the outside. Inoue's like, whoa, hold on. I thought you were an inside guy. And Marlon Tapales was like, yeah, I was. And, kind of just started working from the outside. Naoya Inoue, he probably trained for the outside foot advantage this entire camp. I don't know why he would have, though, actually. I'm going to take that back. He probably trained for the inside, but it didn't look like it because he got caught off guard so much with it. Tapales started working the outside foot advantage, and that set him up for more shots. And Inoue's like, okay, hold on. That caught him off guard for a second here. And he started to briefly land better shots on Inoue. Inoue was never in any trouble in this fight. Naoya Inoue was in complete control from round 1 all the way to round 10 when he finally put Marlon Tapales away. But that switching from, and he didn't just like decide, oh, I'm going to the outside foot advantage. No, he went to the outside, and then he would go to the inside. And it was cool because, like, we talk about changing up cadence to where you jab, cross, like real quick. What Tapales did was he would step to the outside. Okay, I'm stepping to the outside. Stepping to the outside. Now, real quick, we step into the inside. And that threw Inoue off for a little bit. But it wasn't do or die. Like, when I'm talking about in this match throwing off Inoue, I'm not talking about, oh, it was like, yeah, I caught you and now you're stumbled. There was none of that. It was more or less you started to land more on Inoue, and Tapales really did start to land more on Naoya Inoue. So 229 at round 4. I took this note here. It was really cool. Tapales threw this jab, and Inoue, with your southpaw versus orthodox matchup, you got lead hands together as well as your feet. Right, so your jabbing hand is your left for your orthodox fighter and your right for your southpaw fighter. And in a way, you always got fighting in the lead hand. We saw that a lot with Andre Ward. He was a master at fighting the lead hand. But Inoue grabs his hand. He can't grab it. He's in a box, but he gets it as he jabs in the body, and he boom pushes it away. And that creates a lane for Inoue's right. He was left orthodox fighter, so he actually catches with this hand, throws it away, and then boom. I was like, hey, that's pretty neat. I like that. And then at the end of the round, Inoue just starts to come forward. So Naoya Inoue started mixing up his cadence at the end of round 4, and it kind of caught Tapales off guard. Marlon Tapales started backing up, keeping the high guard, and Inoue just started pouring it on. I'm talking like just banging it out. He selects his shots well. He goes to the body well. He didn't do so much in this fight, but he did it enough. So 20 seconds ago in, round 4, Naoya Inoue drops Marlon Tapales. And you would think like, oh, this fight's about to be done. Naoya Inoue is about to become undisputed in his second weight class in less than a year's time, or just over a year's time. Okay. No, that's not what happened. Round 5 came out, and he would do this for the remainder of the fight, actually. He would come out strong. Marlon Tapales would come out after Naoya Inoue. Good game plan, bad game plan, I don't know. It worked for Marlon Tapales, though. Eventually, though, Inoue would, break him down. And it was apparent, at the end of round 5 that Naoya Inoue was landing the better shots. Okay, and that's really important because if you two guys are banging it out and you're landing the better, harder shots, and you're not Rodtang, you're going to win the fight, and you're going to knock your guy down. And that's kind of what happened. He started landing the better shots, and Marlon Tapales would kind of slow down a hair. And it's like, okay. Then Inoue starts to take over at the end of the round. Inoue wins the round, right? So Marlon Tapales, he comes out in round 6, pressure again early. But his punches are starting to hang. He gets tired midway through the round. But he comes out. That 1 minute rest does him wonders. And at 122, these guys are small. They can go and recover real quick. They're small guys. But he was hanging his punches out there and kind of and Inoue caught him with a let's see. He threw, I think it was a left cross. So Inoue caught him with a left hook, or a right hook actually. No, it was right hook caught him. It wasn't a devastating blow, but I was like, oh, that's not good if he's landing like that. Marlon Tapales he fought the lead hand well, stepping deep to the outside, and he caught Naoya Inoue with a jab. This was round 7. He caught Naoya Inoue with this jab, and Naoya's, oh yeah, you got me there. Like, that was a good shot. If Naoya Inoue acknowledged it, it was a good shot. So at this point in the fight, I don't think Inoue was in really danger. Obviously, Marlon Tapales has a puncher's chance, but at the end of the day, Naoya Inoue was still in complete control. And he showed it the entire fight. Round 8's the same thing. Marlon Tapales changes up. Actually, it's a little different, but he's coming forward. This is what I mean when I say it's the same thing. So he's coming forward, but he's keeping this guard, so he's got his right hand forward, and he's leaning like this instead. This is completely different from the guy with the high guard that was stepping to the inside and the guy who was stepping to the inside and the outside. He was still mixing up where he stepped, but this new guard kind of gave Inoue a little bit more pause. But it was really cool to see from Naoya Inoue because he's like, oh, you're going to change here? Because a lot of what Bud Crawford's game is built on is changing things up to where you don't know what to come out with next. And to see Inoue adapt not one, not twice, but 3 times in this fight to go out there and change how he fought to deal with what Marlon Tapales was bringing to the table, that's a big deal. That's exactly what you want to see in a fighter. Now, round 9, Marlon Tapales, he continues to have his success early. 1s and 2s. Consistently, he did good. But Naoya Inoue is landing when he wants at the end of these rounds. And it's like, how much longer can Tapales take? Because Naoya Inoue is getting off on him. It was pretty rough. There's several moments where he was just covering up, and Inoue was like, I got you. You about to go down. And sure enough, round 10, Naoya Inoue really kind of just started relying heavily on the 1-2. Because that's all he needed. Tapales had nothing for it anymore. He was tired. He was a lot slower than normal. So what Marlon Tapales had to do was kind of punish the 1-2, come over the top with a check hook off the 1. He couldn't do it. He was exhausted from the pace he'd put on because he put on a hellacious pace. And a 1-2 dropped him. Marlon Tapales could not counter. He's going to have a hard time getting fights after this because he looked actually really good. I rate Naoya Inoue really high, and Marlon Tapales went better with him than anybody except for maybe Nonito Donaire. So, the pound-for-pound question, does Naoya Inoue sit at the top of the pound-for-pound list when you got names like Oleksandr Usyk and Bud Crawford out there? And there's people hollering Devin Haney, and I mean, Haney's undisputed, or he was undisputed, but yeah, I don't know if he is. Okay, so Bud Crawford had a more impressive performance. I'll pull up Rings ratings right now to see if there's anybody else in the pound-for-pound rankings. Bud Crawford, though, Terence Crawford had a much more impressive performance against a higher-rated opponent. So, Errol Spence was a fantastic opponent. He was ranked top 5 pound-for-pound, and Crawford just dominated him. Now, Naoya Inoue this year, he beat, Stephen Fulton and now Marlon Tapales. I don't know if I could put him over Bud Crawford, though. See, Bud is a 2-division undisputed champion, just like Inoue. So Inoue's best accomplishment that he's a 2-division undisputed champion is it's on equal footing with Crawford. So Crawford's single win over Errol Spence has me putting him slightly above Naoya Inoue at the pound-for-pound ratings. Now, you have Oleksandr Usyk, who's the unified cruiserweight. I don't rate cruiserweight as high as what Crawford's done, even though his division's kind of I do think his 2 wins over Anthony Joshua are great. He beat, Chisora, who's a ghost of himself now, and he went life or death with that Chisora just about a couple years ago. I don't know if Chisora was washed then, actually. Let me walk that one back. But in a way, his win over Steph Fulton, who doesn't fight, and Marlon Tapales, who does fight, that I don't rate that as high as what Bud's done. So I still think I have Bud Crawford at number 1 pound for pound. Number 2, obviously we're going to put Naoya Inoue and Oleksandr Usyk. Now, if Usyk beats Fury, you're looking at him number 1 pound for pound because Fury's been one of the best guys in the division for so long. He doesn't fight anymore, but he broke Deontay Wilder. He beat Klitschko. He's a good fighter. He doesn't take the hard fights, but he's a good fighter. So, yeah, almost lost to Francis Ngannou. So yeah, Naoya Inoue for me, number 2 pound for pound right now until Oleksandr Usyk fights, and then we'll see how that turns out. Obviously, that's how these things work, though. Anyways, guys, that's it for today. That has been a good, little episode 271. It's been a good year. And I'll see you guys next year. Might hop on and talk Kyoji, Horiguchi, and Ryzen if you were into MMA and stuff. So tune in for that. If not, I'm working on a video on Benoit Saint Denis. So if you like MMA prospects, that's one to watch. I'm out, guys.